This class is keeping your crew in the loop. Today we'll be talking about all the communication tools in CompanyCam. We'll be talking about all of the features where you can basically lay out a roadmap for your crew to make sure you are getting all of the information you need, all of the photos that you need to do what you need to do in the future, be that supplementing to insurance or providing documentation to your clients. So today we are going to be talking about internal communication and tagging. So that'll be our chat functionality, both on the project level and on the photo level. Adjusting your notification settings so we can make sure if you're tagged in those photos, you're actually receiving those notifications. We're going to talk about those to-do lists. So we did just launch some exciting new features there in terms of templating that you can use, make it a lot quicker and easier for you. And then we'll also talk about project notes and contact info. So you'll be able to have everything at your fingertips that you might need once you get onto the work site. And then we'll talk about our collaborators versus guest user options. So these are going to be the options that you have to share these projects with either your subcontractors or tenants that you might be working with if you're in project management that need to add photos for you to actually point out a problem. We'll talk about kind of the differences between how we use those. And then we'll also be talking about the new functionality of assignments that just came along with our new permissions set that we just set out. So let's go ahead and get started. I am going to hop in. If you've never joined us before, this is kind of how the layout is going to work. We're going to be looking at the desktop version of CompanyCam over here on the right. And we'll be talking about the mobile version of CompanyCam over here on the left. So we'll be talking mostly in the web version, just because it's a little bit easier to show you. A lot of your administrative functionality is probably going to be handled a lot on the web version. But just know that pretty much everything I'm going to be showing you today is available on both the web version as well as the mobile version. So let's first talk about communication in terms of chat and tagging in the projects and in the photos. So very first thing I'm going to do, I am going to search for a specific project that I want to open up. You'll see here that I have starred this project. If you're not familiar with starring projects, especially if you want your crew to see a very important project all the time, you can always star that project. You'll see that there's a star right next to the title. I can toggle that on or off. And then if I do have that starred, you'll see down below on my homepage, I have that saved as a starred project. So your crew can hop right into that project from there. So when we talk about project conversations, what we're talking about is this chat option over here on the right. The great thing about our conversation options in CompanyCam is this is going to prevent you from needing to jump back and forth between the app and your text messages. It's also going to prevent you from needing to download any photos so you can upload them into your text messages. So on the project level, if you just want to communicate for things that they need to do or things that they need to look at on the overall project, you'll see on the right side of your page, there's going to be this project conversation window. You'll see here that we already have this conversation going on right here between Sarah, who's joined us today, and myself. But let's say that I just want to comment on this. I want everybody to see this communication. I can say, look at the north flashing, and I can either just post that. That way, everybody who opts into that project can see that conversation there, or I can tag somebody specifically. So I will either hit this @ button right here, or I can type in the @ sign. Whoop. And that would help if I use the correct button. And then I can just enter the name of the person I'm looking for here. I'll just tag myself in this. So now that I have myself tagged and I post that, you'll see that I receive a notification. So over here on the mobile side, if I have my permissions set turned on to receive notifications, I'll receive a notification at the top of my screen. Over here, you'll also see that I have this notifications section here in my toolbar on the left. And that has been updated to reflect that I have 2 notifications in that little red circle. On the mobile version, you'll see that little bell icon down at the bottom. I can click on that, and you'll see here that that post has been opened up, and I can just jump directly into that conversation, take a look at what I have typed. So you'll also notice that if you hop in to a specific photo, so I'll just scroll down here and I will jump into, we'll just take a look at this one right here. You'll see that you also have the comment functionality available on individual photos. So once again, all I need to do is just type in my message. Once again, hit the @ sign, tag myself here, and then click on post. And same as before, I'll receive a notification here. So it might take a couple moments to load, but otherwise you'll see if I jump into my notifications, that is right there. And I can once again, jump into that conversation specific to that photo. You'll also see that once you have a comment on a photo, if you're going through your project feed here, you'll see that there's that little chat bubble option directly in the lower right-hand corner. Now, if I am on the mobile version, we'll just hop into most recent projects here. Let's take a look at, I'll search for that again. And we're just going to jump into that project. You'll see on the mobile version that the project conversation is down at the very bottom here. And once again, it's just going to work the exact same way. I can bring up my keyboard, type that in, tag whoever needs to be tagged. And if I hop into any of the individual photos, instead of having that project conversation or photo conversation box down below, you're going to see this little chat bubble right here in the lower left-hand corner. Once again, just click on that. That will pull up the conversation box. You can type in whatever you need to there, tag whoever you need to. So when we were doing that, you probably saw that I did not receive my actual push notification for that tagged photo. That is because I might not have that notification turned on. So if you're not seeing those, you might need to adjust some notifications here. You'll see on the mobile version, down below in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see that little head and shoulders icon. If I click on that, that will take me into my personal feed where I can jump in between my photos, projects, and reports. But if I want to go into my settings, you'll see that little gear icon up at the top. I can go in there, and then you'll see under preferences, I have my notification settings. So I can jump right in there, and that would be why I didn't see that push notification. So I just need to make sure that I toggle that on, and then I can toggle on what other notifications I need to receive as well. So if I need to see that there are comments on photos I've taken, I can toggle that on, or comments on photos or projects that I've commented on, you can do that as well. I'm just going to turn that on as mobile push notifications. So that should pop up basically like it would if you received a text message or if you received a Facebook message, anything like that. So just make sure that that is completed for each individual user that is on the account. So they're each going to need to have that toggled on if they're needing to receive those push notifications. So any questions on notifications before we move on? Okay. In that case, let's go ahead and move on to to-do lists. So to-do lists are going to be a really great way if you already have created like a task list or a punch list that you use for a crew that you might have printed out on paper beforehand, just to make sure that you have every step of your process completed. You can do that directly in CompanyCam now. So if we're on our project level, you'll see down below our information here that we have this section for to-dos. So if I click on that, you'll see here that we have an existing to-do list that we already have added to the project. But if I want to create an entirely new to-do list, all I need to do is click on this blue Create To-Do List button right here. So this will give me an option to create a brand new to-do list from scratch, or I can use an existing template. So if I click on this, this is going to give me all of my existing templates that I've already saved, or I can hop into these individual template sections that I can jump into based on the shared to-do list, which I'll show you here in a moment. But let's go ahead, just for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to show you how to create a to-do list from scratch. So I'm just going to click on create to-do list. We're going to click on create new to-do list. I'm going to title this one. So I'm just going to call this our June 23rd to-do. And then just click on create to-do list. And you'll see that it's just going to give you kind of this blank section here to start from scratch. So the nice thing about this is if you need to break this out into individual sections, if you need like a preliminary checklist or a safety checklist versus your production checklist, you can break that out by clicking on new section. If you just have a flat checklist that you need to create, you can just start adding tasks right away. But let's go ahead, let's break this out into sections. So I'm going to create a preliminary section here. And now that I've created that, I can just start creating my tasks for that prelim section. So let's just say for this task, I need to take a photo of the exterior of the house. And then you'll see right here, you can toggle this on or off for photos required or not required. So if I check that, that photo is going to be required and they won't be able to check off this task until they've taken that photo. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a moment. But I can add different instructions here if I need to. So take shot front of house. So I can get that for marketing materials or cover photos, whatever I might need there. And then you can also now add questions. So specific factors into those photos. So if I click on this plus sign, I can ask a yes or no question, or I can create a rating scale if I need to. So, here I might just ask in this description, is there damage? And they can answer yes or no or non-applicable. And then if I want, I can give a rating scale. So level of damage, and they can give a 1 through 5 rating scale, or once again, click non-applicable. So now that I have that taken care of, I can just start creating my new section here. So we'll just say roof and new task. I can say, north flashing. Could add those same questions there if I wanted to, and flashing, so on and so forth. So once I'm done, I can go ahead, break that out into new sections, continue building that out as necessary. And then when I'm done, if I want to use this to-do list I've created in future projects, I can go to the upper right-hand corner here, click on this 3-dot menu right here, and then I can save this list as a template. If you need to make any edits to any of these sections, you can also go over to this 3-dot menu in each one of the sections and reorder them or delete them if you need to. Once I'm done, there's not going to be any save button or anything like that. It's going to save as you go, and then I can just hop back into my project. So now you'll see that I have both of these to-do lists created. And so if I hop in on the mobile version here, once again, just jumping into the project that I was working on, just going to search for that one again. If I need to work out that to-do list, I can just click on the section for to-do lists right here. And if you have one for your sales team and then you have one for your production team, you can break that out into multiple different ones. They can check on the one that they need. So if I jump in here to just our to-do list we just created, and I try and check that off without taking that photo, it's going to throw me that error that I need to take that photo first. The great thing about this is I don't need to hop back into the project to jump into the camera. All I need to do is just click on the camera button directly to the right of that particular task. It's going to open up my camera. I'm going to take a photo of Sarah right here. I'm going to take a photo of Bree, and then just click on done. And you'll see that those photos have been added directly to that task, and they've also been added to our overall project as well. So then I can add, is there damage? Of course not. There's no damage. We'll say non-applicable. And then so on and so forth. And I can continue going down my checklist as necessary. And then once that's done, you'll have all those photos that you need. You can also hop in, see what progress has been made on that checklist. So if I go in here, I can take a look at that project, and then we'll see that that has been uploaded in real time. So any questions before we move on to-do list? And I should point out here as well, if you need to create a new to-do list on mobile, all you need to do is click on that to-do list, click on new to-do list. It's going to work basically the exact same way. So you won't need to necessarily create that on the desktop, even though it might be just a little bit faster for you. Any questions on to-do lists? Yes, good call out. So I just forgot because this is brand new, literally as of 2 days ago. Thank you, Bree. So the nice thing is we have created what are called community to-do lists. So you'll see over here, this is going to show up for you if you're up to date. You can hop in, and this will be setting these up will show up just for you on the web version. So I'm going to hop down here under our integration section to community to-do lists. It's going to give you this little message here the first time you hop in here. And then you'll be able to look at these community to-do lists. So these are typically trade specific to-do lists that we have created. So it's a series of to-do lists that are going to be great for you if you're not wanting to go in there, create those entirely from scratch. These are going to be available to you. So say, for example, I wanted to hop into, my getting started to-do list here. Basically, if you wanted to just use really quick and easy to-do lists, if you're in general contracting, construction, you can specifically add any to-do list from this list. So if you have new hiring or if you have a safety checklist you want to add, you can click on add right here and then just click OK. And then when you hop into your projects, you'll see here, once again, I'm just going to hop into that one I was searching for. When you get into your to-dos and you go to create that to-do list, you can use an existing template, and that one will be listed in your to-do list here. So you'll see that we have added that one. If it is specific to we will be adding more of these for specific companies who created templates for us. You'll see these sectioned out here as well. So you can go and kind of compartmentalize those task lists that you want to utilize based on that, and then just click and drop that in. The other cool thing about this is if you hop into one of our community to-do lists, we have all of our info here. You can edit these as needed. So if you don't need to have a valid driver's license, etc., you can click on delete task, click on yes, delete, and then you can save this in the upper right-hand corner, just like you could before. Save this as a new template. So if I just click on that, you can then create your new title for it, new template description, so on and so forth. And that's an entirely new template for you where you don't have to go in and fill in every single aspect of that. So any questions over community to-do lists? And once again, we'll be adding a lot more of those in the upcoming weeks.
Can you clarify if you can create or pull from the community template in the app?
Yes. So the thing that we will need to make sure that we've done when we go into the community to-do list, we click on, whatever section we want to use and we add from here. This is where we will add those to-do lists. But once we hop into the app, we won't necessarily see the option to add them, but they will be in our existing templates going forward. So just make sure you add them on the web version, then they'll be available to drop into a project on the mobile version. All right. Yeah, and that is available on both Pro and Premium. So basically, yeah, as long as you're not a basic user, you should have that available to you as of today. So you can hop right in there. You should see that, like I said, right over on the left-hand side in that community to-do list section. All right. So we are quickly running out of time here. So let's make sure that we hop into a couple other features. So once again, just going to jump into my projects here, search for my project again. All right. So I did want to also mention project notes and contact info. So the project notepad, this is going to be a great spot for you to include any specific instructions that are related to, if there's parking information for a construction site, if there's a gate code, if you're going to a particular residence, you can just go into the project notepad. I have a note in here already, not much of a note, but let's just say gate code 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. and I can add any internet links I need to. I can bold this, I can create bullet point lists and just save that directly in there. That way, anybody who hops into the project can just take a look right here, and they'll see right under the project title, they're going to have that note, and they can jump into that note, take a look, read that. If they have permissions to, they can edit that, make any additional notes that they need to from there. So I'm just going to discard that change since we don't need to add anything else there. But once again, just a great place for adding any relevant information to the overall project. The other thing that we have just added recently is these project contacts. So if you have a specific point of contact on a project, if it's the property owner, if it is the resident, if it is the foreman on that project, you can add project contact right here. Just type in the name, type in the phone number. So we'll just fill this information in right here, and then that email address, and you can add that contact. So once that's in there, you'll see here that that information is all available. And then if your people are out on the field, if they're jumping into that project, I'm just going to jump right back into it, refresh that. You'll see that that project contact's right there. The awesome thing about this is going to cut a lot of time out for you needing to hop into your text, hop into your calls, emails. You can do that all directly to the project contact directly from CompanyCam. So I can send my text directly out of here, and it will open up that text window. So make sure you do have your project contacts in there. The one limitation is it is going to be one project contact per project. So you won't be able to add multiples in there as of right now. Any questions over that? Okay, perfect. So let's keep boogieing along here. The other thing that we wanted to talk about today is collaborators versus guest users. So these are two similar features that do have largely different functions. So if you want to add a guest user, this is definitely going to be a situation where if you are wanting to obtain a little bit more information from like a resident or a potential client, or you're wanting them to add photos themselves that you can take a look at, determine your course of action, determine, potentially if it's something they can fix or if you even need to go out to the site, you can go in here, click on this share button right here, and then add a guest user. And so this will allow you to add guest user from here. You can type in the email address or find that guest user, and then that will send them an invite. Once again, from that invite, they'll just need to accept the invitation, and they can add photos to that project. They can also comment on those photos, just to give you a little bit more context as to what they're looking at there. Once again, that's really going to be helpful for clients that need to provide information to you. Now, collaborators, this is largely intended for those of you who are using subcontractors. If you are using subcontractors that you're just utilizing intermittently, or even if you're subcontracting yourself, you can add this collaborator by clicking on the add collaborators function right here, and then click on invite company to collaborate. And from here, you can determine exactly what you need that collaborator to be able to do. So you can choose if they want to add photos, view photos, or comment. Let's say we don't necessarily need them to comment, we just need the photos. I can toggle that off. And then I can copy this link to a clipboard and send that out via email, or I can just click on send via email, and that will link over to, if I'm using Gmail or Outlook, and send that invite that way. Over on the mobile version, you can do the same thing there. Just click on add collaborators. You can click on invite a company. Once again, toggle through any of those options. And then you can share an invite even quicker from there. So you can just text out that invite, or once again, you can email from here, and that will send out that invite via text and via email, depending on how you send that. What they'll be able to do is click on that link that will provide them the collaborator invite. And then if they're not already a CompanyCam user, it will prompt them to download the free version of CompanyCam. So this won't cost you anything. It won't cost them anything. And then they'll be able to do whatever functions you've enabled as part of that toggling screen. So add photos, view photos, comment. They will, as a free user, have up to 50 projects that they can utilize. So either projects they create themselves or projects that they're collaborating on. After that 50 projects, they will be prompted to upgrade to Pro from there. But So typically, if you're just using them as a collaborator, you shouldn't hit that threshold very quickly at all. Once again, if you are using a subcontractor, constantly, we still probably would recommend adding them as a user, just because you will need to add them as a collaborator on a per project basis. So if they're going to be on pretty much every project with you, it makes more sense just to add them as a user. It's going to be a lot quicker. It's going to be a lot easier for you. All right. Any questions over collaborators?
Can you explain a little bit more the difference between a collaborator and a guest user?
Yep. So collaborators, as I mentioned, that's just going to give you a little bit more robust functionality. When you click on add collaborators, as I showed you here, they have the ability to add photos, view photos, and comment. One of the biggest differences there is that they're going to be able to view photos. Guest users primarily are going to be using that for providing information to you. So they can add those photos and they can comment. They won't necessarily be able to view the overall project information like you would as a collaborator. That is why we typically recommend collaborators for subcontractors who are going to need that additional information. All right. So very last thing here is we can now, as part of our new permission set, assign users to projects. So assigning users to a project will require that they are a user on your account and they are on the restricted level, just because restricted users are going to be the ones who we're going to need to possibly limit the types of projects that they see. So to do that, you'll see this assign users section right here. All we need to do is click on assign users or click on this little plus sign down at the bottom. This will give you the users that you're looking for. So if I want to add Bree Campbell here, I can do that. Or I can assign an entire group if you've added them to a group previously. So once I've added them to that project, you'll see that they're listed there, they're assigned, and then they will see that project in their personal project feed going forward. They will only see as a restricted user those projects that are assigned to them. So just wanted to make sure that you're aware of that. That is part of our new restricted users permission set. And then you can assign them directly those projects from there. So they're only seeing those projects. They will also have a limited amount of functionality there as a restricted user. All right. So we are just about at time right now. I want to make sure, do we have any larger pressing questions that have come up in the chat? All right. Okay. So with that, just wanted to remind you, if you do have any questions that you run into now that we've finished up, you can always contact your customer support rep, or excuse me, your customer success representative, like Bree, Sarah, or myself. If you don't know who that is, you can always just send an email to success@companycam.com. We'll route it to whoever your CSM is. They'll reach out to you directly. And then if you want to view this video, or if you want to view any other videos or sign up for additional trainings in the future, just go to companycam.com/classes. We'll have a lot of these coming up for specific use cases here going forward. So I do appreciate you joining us today, and let us know if there's anything else we can do for you.